People need advocates. People need somebody to support them and to be heard. And I think it is really important to have a place that they can come and tell their stories and find that help and find that support.
I find that a lot of workers may even have an idea of something, but they don't know how to really navigate that. It gives me great joy to know that I'm assisting people out there who need the support. It's just adding something positive to people's lives out there, and it's quite fulfilling for me.
To see somebody finally be able to buy their own groceries instead of going to the food bank because their H appeal got overturned. To see people, have hope. And I think that's the bigger thing, is that through our intervention and supports and navigating these systems, people have hope. Some people, especially if it is a longer term issue like disability support, they haven't had hope for a long time.
Thank you. Amazing. Can I do a selfie too with the three of us?
There's a lot of good employers in Alberta. I always found that about 95% of the employers were decent and treated their employees fairly to the best degree. But there was about 5% of employers, and what I used to call repeat offenders. It was the same employers. And some of them were local employers, some were all throughout the province, but it was the same employers over and over that used to really, really put the screws to the workers. Over the 1990s, the Labour Council itself really got involved in community projects. Prior to 1990, the Labour Council really dealt with union issues, dealing with union workers, and that was kind of it.
I saw on the work floor at Canada Post how few workers really understood what their rights were in terms of when they were injured or if they needed extra support or someone they knew needed help.
So one day I was approached by 3 members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. They came to our office at the Labour Council and we had a discussion, and they basically told me, it was Gord Bogsty, Joan Thompson and Anna Kolbaduk, told me that they have a strong union, they're proud union members, but who helps these 87% of the private sector workers that don't belong to a union? And there really and truly was no one.
I think the next step was, for me, was to organize people who I knew, organize my own strengths, make a collection of the people who I know who had knowledge and experience in the area of health and safety, who would be able to help to organize a Workers' Resource Centre or something like that, what became the Workers' Resource Centre. We started asking for money from unions. I started writing grant applications for different organizations in the city, constantly looking for some kind of startup fund that we could work from.
And our very first grant came from the City of Calgary. The Community and Family Services gave us money to look into a feasibility study, and we were able to do that. And then from there, probably the next venture was a number of unions in the province of Alberta, and the United Way of Calgary and area decided they were able to give us some seed money. And in March of 2004, we were able to hire our very first caseworker, which made us very proud, because we were then able to provide a service free of charge to anybody in the City of Calgary who needed help. And then what we're very proud of, 20 years ago, almost to the date, on May 6th, 2004, we had our grand opening of our first office. And ironically, it was downtown on the tracks right across the street from the Employment Standards Office, where anybody could have easy access to free, helpful information when they had to take on their employer in an unfair circumstance.
It was very exciting. It was gratifying. I was so grateful that so many individuals and organizations came on board very openly. It told me that it reinforced what I had thought all along, was that there was a need for this, that there were a lot of people out there in the community who were not able to access basic rights.
There was some struggles. There was days we're going like, where are we going? Or are we going to make this happen? And we have to back up and think. and we didn't have like a wheel to follow. We were creating the wheel, and so it took a number of years, but it's been forward. And right from day one, we were helping workers, and then we just started continually getting more and more requests. And each year, we would get more and more funding and more clients at the door, and we were able to, year after year, set a new record of the number of people we assisted, and most importantly, the number of benefits and wages we were able to get for workers who never would have been able to get that money from unfair employers.
We had some amazing leadership at the time that just saw the vision of what they wanted to see. And I remember working out of the tiny little office space located just outside Kensington. And it was so small. Like, it was like a closet. And we made the best of what we could do by creating out some workspaces. And our table, our boardroom table was basically a fold-away table that we had to bring out and basically cram in until you couldn't even open the door, even if you wanted to come in to kind of work out of the space. But made it work, right? It was about convening the right people and the people who stood for the same values as we did to look at not only how do we see this grow, but how do we keep up with a need that we even saw then.
Our most vulnerable communities are the ones who are impacted the most by those kinds of ebbs and flows in the economy or in society in general. And so the Workers Resource Center has been critical in those times of those ebbs and flows, because when you think about COVID, when we think about recessions, there are situations where workers are impacted greatly.
Being from a First Nations background, my family and my community have always raised us to never think from an individualistic standpoint. It's about the collective good of our community, the decisions we make on a daily basis, the actions we do, the words we speak, impact those around us, whether we see it or not.
About 5 months. I worked there 5 months. When I just lose my work, I found this organization. Abina helped me with organize my documents and make condition for getting AI benefits.
A lot of people coming to the country, particularly newcomers or temporary foreign workers, they might not know what their rights and responsibilities are under the law. Basically, if you're not a lawyer and not living in that space, you may not know all the ins and outs of those things.
Employment with dignity is very important, right? And so individuals that may not be treated well, or have had some situation occur that, is against human rights legislation or is not reflective of the standards that we as Canadians like to uphold. That's also very important to us.
It was tough. So I can relate with immigrants who are here, who are like finding their path, starting their path. So for every batch, I see these stories, and sometimes it can be like distressing. But I love it that we have this Workers Resource Center who's coming to us every batch that I work with. I have seen a lot, not only my clients, but also my friends, those in my community, especially those who are here as contract workers, whose rights when it comes to compensation have been violated. That I see that they're not getting paid properly, and some of them are not getting paid exactly what they're supposed to be paid for. In terms of benefits, they don't get it.
If you're not experiencing a legal problem directly, you have no idea what the legal issues are in the world. And this legal education helps individuals in Alberta find out more about what could be affecting them or what to do if they are being affected by something and just don't know where to turn.
hearing some of the stories that the caseworkers would share with us in terms of, folks that had even gone back to their country, and be able to have that settlement afterwards, that the life-changing money that they were getting, that you knew that this was going to be not just immediate impacts, but generational impacts for their families. And that's truly what it's about, right? It's about doing the right thing, because that's why they came there, to do the work they need to do, is to support that generational impact, and that's what the money was able to do.
For workers to know where to go to, where they will be understood, where their issues will be, they'll be pointed to the right directions for support. I think that is key and important. And so then, if they can get that information on a timely manner, Workers Resource Center is the place to go.
In 2020, we had 5 staff workers, and our budget was about just over $700,000. This year, we have 10 full-time workers with a budget of almost $1.5 million. So the great thing to see is that obviously our funders and supporters and donors see the validity in what we do and see the need to continue to fund that work. So we've been very grateful to have a group of really supportive people behind us, because there's no way that we could do this work if we couldn't get the personnel in it, we couldn't keep the lights on.
I'm able to help a lot of people who were in the same situation as I was before. It's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, it gets to your veins. It affects your relationships with the family. It's all these multi-factors contributing to being a totally new country. It can get to you too. So I try very hard to change people's perspectives and appreciate the beautiful day, or even the beautiful winter.
Workers having someone on their side, and an organization that has expertise in the legislation, where most of us don't have that expertise, is really critical in our community.
Clients are incredibly happy to be working with us. 9 times out of 10, the client will end the phone call with "Thank you so much. Thank you for opening this up. Thank you for giving me options. I felt so lost, and I felt like I had no options and no hope."
I have to say, in the end of the 90s and the early 2000s, this was a dream. And when you're working in the labor movement for 30 or 40 years, there's not very many dreams that come true.
It's absolutely unbelievable. I think it's probably the best thing I've ever done. It's the best project, other than my own children. They probably take offense at that, but
I do this work because it really is my heart. And it's not just the work for clients, it's that I see an opportunity to model and support best practices in our sector, and try and be that standard that other social service networks can rise to. I think our current work that we're doing here at the WRC indicates that we have no intention of slowing down.
Workers Resource Center is a great resource out there for workers to use, and we hope to be out there more in the community, and I hope that people are able to access that service whenever they need it.
I'm very grateful Workers Resource Center for helping on this one of the difficult periods.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Workers Resource Center on 20 years. That's amazing, and we look forward to supporting them for more years to come.
Just thank you, and hand to heart for everyone and all who have been involved from the very get-go, even before me, and for those that are yet to come into this work. Thanks for everything that you do.